I have some personal things to celebrate. Not only the dream come true to be the lead pastor here, but really what struck me as school was picking back up and summer was going to a close, I celebrate the fact that I survived 2 full weeks of summer camp. 2 full weeks, yes. Yes. I am not the young, spry gentleman that I used to be, and I thank God that I survived 2 weeks of camp. And really, what got me through 2 weeks of camp was Jesus and my fanny pack. And I am so thankful that fanny packs are back in style. How many of y'all, you've rocked the fanny pack this week? Anybody? Woo, yeah. Yeah, they got it on in the back, I think. I put mine on upside down. That's how good I am. Hold on. There we go. I see fanny packs back in my day were not cool. They were not. You couldn't wear them. You'd get made fun of. I guess I was raised in the phase between them when they were cool and I was where they weren't, and now they're cool again. But I was encouraged, Matt, wear a fanny pack to camp. It will save your life. And it did multiple times. Multiple times. Let me share with you some things that my fanny pack kept with me all week long. I had, in the dark camp at night, we're out in the middle of nowhere, Delaware County, Ohio. Anyone ever heard of Marengo? Didn't think so. We are in the middle of nowhere, and when the lights went out at night, I worked security the first week, obviously, because I'm big and strong and imposing. That wasn't funny. That was not funny. I was serious in that moment. Wow, you believe that? I did a push-up today. But I had a flashlight, and this flashlight would help me and any others show the way, where we were going, what we were doing. I had a golf cart, my flashlight. We were showing everybody the way in which to go. And then I had my camp manual. People, what do I got to do next? I don't know. Let's go to the manual. Where do I go now? I don't know. Let's go to the manual. What are we doing now? Did you get one of these? You did. Read your manual. It's in here. But I kept mine in my pocket everywhere we went. It was wonderful. And then last but certainly, I had a first aid kit. This mini first aid kit. I was saving lives on the Gaga pit. I was saving lives. All them scraped knuckles. There's kids on the basketball court falling. I would run in, slow motion Baywatch, and boom. I pull out the Band-Aid, and I would give them the Band-Aid, and I'm telling you, I was famous that week. And then the second week, I was at kids camp, and I used all of it. And about middle of the way during the first week, I thought, you know what? There's something to this fanny pack that reminds me a lot about a Bible verse. Of course, because I'm a pastor. Because I'm a pastor, and all things remind me of Bible verses. And actually, the fanny pack reminded me a lot of Jesus. If you have a Bible, whether it's on your device or maybe with you, if not, you can trust me, I'll read it to you. But John 14:6 is what I want to read to you this morning. John 14:6 is what I want to read to you this morning. As I was keeping my fanny pack fully stocked and ready to go, this verse kept coming to my mind. And it says this. John 14:6, this is from the New Living Translation, says, Jesus told him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And no one can come to the Father except through me. First thing Jesus says he is the way. Now, his disciples were asking him some questions. Jesus is kind of coming to the end of his earthly ministry. And in chapters 14, 15, and 16, he's teaching his disciples what was going to happen next, what was going to be going on. So at the beginning of chapter 14, they're like, Jesus, where are you going? And he's like, you know where I'm going. I got to be with my Father. He's like, where are you going? Oh, I got to be with my Father. Jesus says, I am the way, right out of that. And Jesus was saying, I am the way to the Father. I am the way to the Father. There is no way except through Jesus to get to heaven. Jesus said, I am the way to heaven. Now, many of us, in this crazy time in which we live in, we also want to know, where do we go left? Do we go right? How do I take the U-turn or do I cut through the BP? You take the U-turn. Oh, y'all don't know about that. I've seen it. I've seen it. Which way? And Jesus wants to help you with the way as well, to help you navigate your life, to help you navigate these hard times in which we live in. But that's why Jesus is also the truth. He's not only the way, he's the truth. Truth to our culture is something that can be changed. It's all relative. Your truth, my truth. But Jesus looked at his disciples and he says, as the culture around you gets twisted, it gets changed, you can look to me. I am the truth. My words, my teachings, they are the truth. In Matthew chapter 7, Jesus is teaching in parables. It's the great Sermon on the Mount. In one of the last parables, Jesus talks about my teachings, my words are the rock. And you can build your house on me because I am the rock. And when storms of life and storms of change come, I will help you hold strong. He is the truth. You don't know what to do. You don't know which way to go. You're confused. We go to the Word of God because that is where we find truth. That is where we find Jesus, and Jesus is the truth. So Jesus is the way. Jesus is the truth. And then Jesus says, I am life. I am life. I don't know about you, but these last, 2.5 years or so, at times have drained the life out of me. I was pastoring in North Carolina when the pandemic hit. Erica and I, my wife, who grew up here in this church, we were pastoring down outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, and I can just remember what it was like the moments we had to close the church. We didn't know what to do. We couldn't meet. The governor said we couldn't. We didn't know what was going on. And all of a sudden, people all across our community started struggling with life. When things started to open, it was a 6-month wait to even see a counselor. During that time, depending on what research you read, they would tell you that depression and anxiety were at all-time highs. Addiction programs were being flooded because of the way that people were coping with their anxiety, were causing them to step into addiction, whether it was drugs or alcohol. COVID literally sucked the life out of people. And here we are, we think we're out of it, and then are we? And we kind of play this dance. Well, listen, if you are struggling with life, Jesus is life itself. In John chapter 10, verse 10, Jesus said that the devil comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But I have come that you may have a life and life more abundant. Jesus didn't say, I have come so that your life would be perfect. He didn't say, I will come so you won't have any troubles whatsoever. But Jesus said that in the midst of the troubles, you will have a purpose and a passion and a life that is abundant. Jesus is the way. There's only one way to heaven, and that's through Jesus. And when you're confused, when you don't know what to do, Jesus wants to show you the way. Jesus is the truth in a culture that changes its mind every 3 times since this sermon started. He is the truth. And if you're here this morning and you're struggling, Jesus longs to be life. Life to not only get you by, but to help you thrive. That's why our youth ministry and our kids ministry and every ministry, it seems like at this church, is called Thrive. Because that's what happens when Jesus is in you. You don't just survive, you thrive. I'm going to ask Michelle to come up, and I want to pray for some people this morning. I want to pray for those this morning that may be struggling with life, that may be struggling with what to do next. Because I believe that even outside, under this amazing tent, that Jesus wants to speak to you. That I believe that even though we're not inside, we sang about the house of the Lord. I told them to change it, the tent of the Lord. There's joy in the tent of the Lord today. But they didn't like it. It didn't flow well, so I said, whatever. But here, in this moment, the God that we serve longs to meet you with where you're at.